is just back from Ukraine, where she met with the country's president. Indiana Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz also grew up in Ukraine. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. We know this issue is very close to your heart. We're getting some mixed messages, and maybe you did too, and you can help us out with that because, you know, we have the Russians saying, no, we don't intend to invade. And you have President Zelensky saying, on the one hand, we need more weapons, we need more help, and on the other hand, telling the United States to tone down this narrative about an attack being imminent. What did he say to you, Congresswoman?
Thank you for having me. Well, I can reassure you that the president of Ukraine and our NATO allies and European Union understand that we have a very serious, disturbing and worrisome situation in Europe, because I think the issue at stake is much larger than Ukraine. And this Russian aggression brings a lot of concerns. And I'll be honest with you, I just wanted to highlight, when America gets weakened, internally, it creates instability around in the world. And when we have lack of leadership, it creates a lot of problems. And I think now our adversaries are testing our leadership.
Yeah, you talk about your adversaries. I want to play this soundbite from a Russian envoy to the United Nations. Watch, and I'll get your response on the other side, Congresswoman.
Let them show us any evidence apart from bogus narratives that Russia is intending to attack Ukraine. Where did you get the figure of 100,000 troops that are deployed, as you state, on the Russian-Ukrainian border? Although that is not the case. We have never cited that figure. We've never confirmed that figure.
You talk about bogus, 100,000 troops, no such thing. Well, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, said there were 100,000 troops. Our intel says there are at least 100,000 troops. If Russia is not being honest about this, it doesn't bode well for their overall truth-telling in this matter.
Well, I mean, they have a different agenda, and we don't, they always try to play games with us. But I think it's very, clear you don't have to go very far to see what's happening on the border. And I don't think any intelligence sources can be argued to see what is happening. It's not just they building up troops, they bring in plasma, they bring hospital units. Yeah. So I think the situation is escalating. But if you go back and see what's happened around the world, our failed withdrawal from Afghanistan, our bad energy policies, and instability of very radical policy internally create now instability around the world. And Russia is trying to exploit it, and countries like China, Russia, Iran are trying to exploit the situation.
Yep, and I think there's no argument that foreign policy has been a mess. If Russia does invade, are you confident when you talk about the diplomatic side of this, are you confident that the NATO allies will stand together, especially Germany, which is showing some signs that they don't want big sanctions, they don't want this to happen? Your thoughts?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, bad energy policy put Germany in a very difficult situation. But I truly believe, regardless what a lot of people say, I think this aggression united NATO allies, this aggression united European Union, and it even united United States Congress, which is very divided right now, because people understand how serious the situation is. And we went to Brussels and met with our leadership in Brussels, and NATO is going to stand together because we have to protect the peace in Europe. But I think it's also important to have negotiation and discussion how we can de-escalate the situation, because no one wants to have a war, no one wants to fight. But Europe went through this in 1938, and we saw what's happened and what's to the situation. So I think it's very dangerous, and we have to be there to help Europe. Unfortunately, we either rather do it sooner than later.